Got a Mexican way of going in a minute.
It's about to start. Welcome everybody. I declare the meeting open and mention that the meeting will be recorded as per council policy, the recording of minutes and the live streaming of the council meeting. A reminder to those in attendance to ensure their mobile phones are switched to silent throughout the meeting. The Circular Council acknowledges the North West Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of the country on which we stand, meet and play. We recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay respects to elders, past, present and emerging. Attendance, we've got leave of absence which has not been put on there, but Councillor Flowers has leave of absence and Matt will adjust that for the minutes. The rest of us are here. Upstanding for prayers, please.
Let us take a moment to clear our minds and focus on achieving outcomes that serve the greater good of the whole community. May light illuminate all present and support everyone to bring their highest and best selves to the debate and the decisions made here tonight.
Thank you. Um, 2.1, if I could have a move and a second that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Circular Council on Thursday 22nd of January be confirmed as a true record, please. Thanks, Councillor Dabner. Second, Deputy Mayor. No debate, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 3.0, declarations of interest. Any councillor got any declarations to make? Thank you. 4.1, Mayor's communications, some meetings and different things there. Is there any questions on any of those? Councillor Collins.
Mr Mayor, the third one down, not Quintana Winnemate Day.
The spelling's wrong.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
I didn't notice that before, so apologies for that. We'll get to the right correction. It's Memorial Day for Tannamanawini, or whatever.
Okay.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Hine.
On the 19th, the First Minister...
I won't answer if you don't stand. Just stand.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, good photo. I have issues with the white papers. I've got it now then. Minister Digon's meeting.
Yeah, it was requested the General Manager, CEO and myself went to Launceston for support Cradle Coast and NRM in their meeting in relation to Ramsar, which I had with Minister Digon. The meeting itself went very well, very positive. It was interesting, I suppose, and I'll say it then, interesting that the rhetoric from the Deputy Premier was slightly different than Minister Digon's. I'll leave it there.
I'm aware of that.
No, can you expand on what they said?
Cradle Coast and NRM were requesting from Minister Digon for some changing on a letter to go from state government, some changes to that. And throughout the meeting, we explained why, what, how. And Minister Digon indicated there'll be no problem for that letter to be done. That was pretty much it, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Councillor Hine?
Senator Richard Colbeck gave you a visit, obviously.
Yeah, it was just in the off-season meet and greet. The CEO had other commitments on, so I met him and had a coffee with him, and it was just really what's going on in the area, blah, blah, that type of meet and greet type one.
Anyone else?
No, you're up, keep going.
The Arthur Pyman.
I'll come back to you, Councillor.
The Arthur Pyman region.
Probably cover it.
The APCA meeting?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a standard meeting. Standard APCA meeting, Minister Daigan actually attended that meeting and outlined some, as he does from time, or the relevant minister does from time to time. So it was a standard monthly meeting.
Thank you.
Councillor Collins?
That's all I've got there.
The Tas Water half-year shareholder briefing, is there any interesting comments you can give us about that?
It was I zoomed into that. It was their typical information session. Somewhat fluffy, but not a real lot of information, if you like. So it was a typical one of their ones they put over.
Beat around the bushes?
So I'll leave that there too. Councillor Hollaker?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My first question, and I've got three tonight. The first question is dealing with the Artarmon area. What is the Artarmon Management Committee's plans with their fire reduction burns? Because we went through there last week and it's just tinderbox waiting to go.
I'd take that on notice. I don't know off the top. That's obviously controlled by Parks, but the Artarmon would be able to find that information out for you.
Thank you. The next question is, has there been any inspection of the Montague Road since it was sealed and the lines painted on it? If not, what you probably need to make sure you do an inspection on that when it rains, because we've had 2 or 3 showers and the water is laying inside the white line.
Can I hand to you, Michael?
Yes, that has been pointed out to us, and we've been waiting.
One particularly out at towards the aerodrome, and this end, on this side, coming past, I don't know the numbers of the house, but Peter Benson comes onto the drive there, and John Bergman, just because it's right there.
Through you, Mayor, and as per the contract, we have a 12-month defect period to address any of these issues as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other one, and I've seen tonight, social media has just started to blow up about Nelson Street. The islands that they've put in there for pedestrians to cross, there's 2 in particular that there will be an accident, because one is where you turn into Grant Street going into the wreck. You've got one this side of that intersection. If you want the people to turn in Grant Street to use the middle road, that piece there, that island that you've put there, I understand the pedestrians have got to cross, but there, all you're allowing is about 2 cars to get in there, and then the whole traffic is held up. And it's the same thing going into Swirl, the same place. If that pedestrian crossing was the other side, and the entrance into Swirl, you'd get more than 2 cars getting in there. I just said somebody's going to get crunched there, and I noticed some truck drivers going crook because I thought they was putting that there to make the traffic flow, and it's not going to do that. And I just raised that matter.
Yes.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. The locations of the pedestrian refuge have been recommended by a traffic engineer, but we'll take that on notice and provide a response.
Councillor Hine, you started to stand again, I thought.
I did, yes. Your meeting with the Deputy Premier, you touched on it briefly with Councillor Steve, but what was the difference between the two as far as...
He attended the Chamber of Commerce, as most of us did, or quite a few of us did. That was the first one, and the other was once again just an information gathering and discussion about bits and pieces. He did ask what the council's positions were on things like the wind farm and Ramsar. That was a little bit of a discussion around that when we informed him that the council strongly supported both things. So it was just a general discussion around those.
Thank you.
No more? Thank you. If I can have a move and a second, they be noted, please. Thanks, Councillor Pilkington. Seconded, Councillor Dabner. No debate. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Same with 4.3. There's some workshop stuff there. Unless there's any questions, if I can have a move and a second, they be noted. Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Collins. No debate. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. There's nothing in 5 and nobody here. No planning. 7.3, questions without notice.
Excuse me, bear with me 4 moments,
Yep.
if I may. Planning Authority for delegations. Just whilst we wait, and the reason for the pause is that at the last council meeting we didn't go into planning authority in order to approve the delegations for Ella as the new director of community director. So we do have to now go into planning authority in order to do that.
Yep.
That report looks like it hasn't actually gone in, so that's why it's not actually there. It's not actually going to be presented at all.
Right.
We take it as a late. Yeah, we take it as a late and then put that to the public.
Let me look into it, keep moving along, and I can always
Yeah.
bring back. We can always go into planning later in the meeting, as long as it's still in open.
Yeah.
Yep, right.
Okay.
Right. 7.3, questions without notice. Councillor Holloway.
Mr Mayor, I do need to apologise. I jumped the gun when I asked 3 questions. You wasn't good enough to pull us up.
As you would be aware, Councillor, I'm quite lenient of the questions from the councillors. But I accept your apology. Questions without notice.
Why is the roadside slashing so late to be completed? Is the contractor within the terms of their contract?
Ella, please.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the manager of projects, works and services has advised that the slashing is on schedule and that the contractor is working to the operations of that contract. And the slashing will commence next week for Montefiore.
I'd like to talk about the slashing at a later date, but yeah. Councillor Hine, you got a question?
Yeah, I've got a question. It's to do with a question I asked at the last workshop, and it's to do with the Esplanade, East Esplanade rock wall. And so, for future consideration for the extension of the existing rock wall on the Duck River side banks, can I request someone within the staff of this council to do some research and documentation and document the following so that this council or a future one will have some background knowledge and information about the costs of that past initiative. 1. When and what year were those rock boulders installed to make a rock wall on the eastern esplanade from the boat ramp downstream? 2. What is the total length of that wall? 3. What was it done all at the same time? 4. What was the total cost of that project at that time? And 5. Was that project funded by a special grant or funded from within the council's own funding from within its funding sources?
Right. Councillor Hine, this is not part of our work plan at all. As you know, the open place, the eastern side of that is not mixed into the open places plan, which we've adopted. The only way we'll get to change that if you bring forward to a meeting a notice of motion to bring that into that.
If I can just carry on to...
Is it a question or not?
It's a question. The reason why I'm asking is...
No, Mr Councillor, we're not going to run that through now as a workshop.
Right.
That's the answer to the question.
Right.
It's not in our plans and in our present current plans to do that. You would have to bring that forward as a notice of motion.
Righto, thank you.
Further questions? No, we move on. No notice of motions. Sorry for the smile, Councillor Hine, I wasn't being silly there. 9.1, speed limit Nelson Street.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. This report outlines an item that's part of the Nelson Street safety upgrades. It was recommended that Council undertake a speed limit assessment of the existing speed limit of 60 kilometres an hour on Nelson Street from the Bass Highway roundabout to the intersection with Davis Street. An assessment has been undertaken by council officers in accordance with the relevant guidelines and Australian standards. And based on this assessment, it's been found that the section of Nelson Street in question meets a number of criteria that would justify a reduction of the existing speed limit of 60 kilometres an hour down to 50 kilometres an hour. Things such as the physical built-up nature of Nelson Street and the presence of schools and recreational facilities, as well as the access and driveway density. A reduction to a 50 kilometre an hour speed limit would also be more consistent with the surrounding network. It's important to point out that the Department of State Growth is the controlling body for all speed limits on Tasmanian public roads, and that Council is required to submit to DSG a formal request to alter any existing speed limits should you wish to do so. I present that for your consideration.
Thanks, Michael. Before we move to debate, is there any questions on any of that? We have workshops. If not, is there a move and a second that we accept the report? Or thanks, Councillor Collins. Seconded, Councillor Dabner. Councillor Collins, you wish to speak?
Through you, Mr Mayor. I can't see the problem with putting the speed limit back to 50. I think it's necessary during with all of the activity that goes on Nelson Street, and it just brings it in alignment with all of the other streets that approach the city, the centre of Smithton. So I think it's a good idea for safety reasons.
Thank you. Councillor Dabner?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor. Sally's covered it.
Any further? Councillor Popovsky?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I've looked at this, not really starting to support it, but read the application while I was there. I've travelled this street for 70 years, in vehicle, bike, and on foot. I'm a bit disappointed that we've had to bring it down to, or recommend that it may come down to 50. And the design did not put a bike track on it. We're looking at it over the next 20 years. So that aids the fact that we would support a 50 because we haven't provided for an exclusive bike lane. I'm sure that's the way of the future. But anyway, in looking at it, it's hard to argue that 50 is not, even though a lot of the community wouldn't like it, 50 is not the sensible approach. As Michael has said, that this is a built-up area with schools and other things. So after having some hesitancy, and a little bit worried about the final design of Nelson Street, I will support 50.
Councillor Popovsky? Any other speakers for or against? I'll be supporting. I think it's with the amount of traffic or the amount of activity, it's a natural safety measure to be going down. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. 9.2, financial report. Rachel.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, before you we have the financial report for the period ending 31st of January 2026. We received 2 new applications for the first homeowners grant, acknowledging 12 in total for this financial year so far, so that's really pleasing to see people taking that up. In terms of the comprehensive income statement, year to date, the end of January, we've got a surplus of 3.08 million, heading towards that budget deficit of 1.5 million. The column name, but it's not, can't work that out. So right next to the 115%, the 1.522108. In terms of the statement of financial position, we've just got a couple of changes there. with the net assets and total equity. So the total equity that we have currently is $313 million, so that's net assets, so that's assets minus liabilities. In terms of the statement of cash flow, currently we've got a cash balance at the end of the period of $23.1 million. In terms of receivables, on page on page 29, we've got a percent outstanding of 20.45% compared to 17.04% last year. We've also got rates instalment due this week, so that's the last instalment for the year. So rates constitute around about half of council's income, and so we don't receive a lot of, or hardly any rates funding after the end of February, so that's why the surplus looks bigger than what it will end up being at the end of the financial year, as all that's been raised, and then we'll basically just have expenses from now until the 30th of June. Sundry debtors are quite low at a little over 200,000, roughly about the same as what it was last year. In terms of the bank reconciliation, page 30, we're around that. There's a couple of term deposits, well, the online saver and cash at bank are at 3.6, and we've got a couple of fixed term deposits there in the 4s, which is still pleasing. And we've got the cash and investments graph. The reason why we don't have the account schedule in there with the functional areas, so we had some computer issues last week. They've been resolved now, and hopefully they'll be back in next month. So I'll present that for council's consideration.
Thank you. Once again, any questions of that before we go to pass it? No? If not, can I have a mover and a seconder? Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Dabner. No debate? Motion? Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. 9.3, the budget amendments.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council, before you, the last few financial years, we've done a budget review at the end of December. Things change pretty quickly in local government, and we think it's wise to do a mid-year reset if we need it. In this last 6 months, well, up until 31st of December, we've had a fair bit of organisational change in terms of the restructure. And also there's other projects that we've pursued and relating to some large strategic projects that are happening in the community at the moment. So what this does is it resets our budget for the financial year and gets our income and expenses into the categories that they need to be, so it makes it easier at the end of the financial year to do some forecasting and also easily allows us to explain variances to the public, to understand that ourselves, and also to the TAS Audit Office who audit us at the moment. So with this we've got, on page 32, we've got an unadjusted net surplus as per the budget of 1.7 million, and then we've got a number of changes there identified through staffing structural changes, some other expenditure that was required, as stated earlier. We've got some changes in the waste space, which we'll probably see more to come this financial year and next financial year, and some other revenue that's been identified. So I'll present the financial statements down below, Mr Mayor, and the report for council's consideration.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Councillor Hine?
Just on page 32, the 900 plus other revenue identified. Is that where the 600 and 700,000 of the heavy vehicle taxes identified there? Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. The reason why we put them in categories like this, especially for the staffing structural changes, and there was actually a lot of detail in it, that we wanted to make this public, a public document, and we didn't want to have the detail of what we had in there. So, yeah, so as part of this, council will receive a one-off contribution from the state government of around 696,000 for the heavy vehicle motor tax. So that's part of that other revenue identified.
Thank you. And
Yep.
is that carried forward then to page 35, where you've got an increase of 716,000 on page 35, yes, down 2, 4, 5, 6, other including reimbursements and user charges.
Yeah, so that's in the cash flow statement.
Yep.
Yes.
That's the same.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions? If not, do I have a move and a second that the report be accepted and the budget done? Thanks, Councillor Debner. Seconded, Councillor Collins. No debate? Put the motion, those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. 9.4, annual plan, Cradle Coast.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just cover some highlights of the annual plan for Q2, or against Q2 of the annual plan for Cradle Coast Authority, of which we're a member, of course. Highlights being there's been an awful lot of advocacy work around Ramsar in particular, some of which was highlighted a little earlier on and for which we've been part of as well. We've also been exploring potential efficiencies or the increase of efficiency savings by partnering with other councils and by using Cradle Coast Authority as a mechanism by which we can realise those types of opportunities. For example, project management or specialist proposal writing and that kind of thing, and using CCA's own capacity in order to backfill our own requirements as well. The final point that I would raise is the ongoing work around the regional planning framework and the regional land use strategy that is still underway, and I know that CCA are really championing that with earnest, and they've got a dedicated resource that's working on that, at least through phase 1, whilst there's funding available to CCA for that purpose. I invite any questions.
Questions? Councillor Pilkington?
Can we have CCA come to us and brief us on where they're going with the land use planning?
Absolutely. Through you, Mr Mayor, there has been that offer, and yes, very happy to take that up. We will look at our workshop schedule to see how that can align. They're booked in already?
Second vote.
Thank you. There we go. Oh.
I'm sure John will look after them.
They're not on the screen, are they going to be?
Further questions to the Councillor Hine?
On page 44, there's reference to Tasmanian Weeds Fund, etc., etc. Have we passed on to the Cradle Coast the infestation of fox larvae, etc., etc., and will that could it come under that sort of category, and is that where we should be sort of asking questions?
Through you, Mr Mayor, there's probably 2 points to this. We have a certain amount of responsibility through council for some forms of weed management, but also CCA has their own responsibilities as well under NRM. May I suggest that could be something that is posed on at the April workshop, and we have that conversation in greater detail.
Thank you. Thank you. While I'm up, can anyone else? On page 45, Circular Head Roadkill Mitigation Working Group. I note that they've had a meeting in December. Can we as councillors be circulated with the minutes of that particular meeting, and what are they working on, etc., etc.?
That's not a council committee. We can ask the question, but it's not.
Was there a council staff member at that meeting? That's a start, perhaps.
Don't know.
No, I don't. We don't have staff meetings at the. Sorry, staff members. Pardon?
I think James used
Yeah, they have been in the past.
Yeah, it's fair. It's not consistent across all of the committees. So yes, where minutes are shared with us, or where there's an opportunity or an invite, then we will share it through the agenda pack.
Thank you.
Any more questions? If not, could I move the second report be noted, please? Thanks, Councillor Pilkington. Seconded, Councillor Collins. No debate. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Senior Management Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm again going to cover some high-level details. As usual, there's a great deal to highlight, but also celebrate through the senior management report. In terms of my own meetings, as the Mayor's already pointed out, he and I attended a meeting with Minister Duggan and Cradle Coast Authorities own representatives around the Ramsar accreditation. To provide our support and our voice there. Another couple of meetings that I'd also highlight is the on the 29th, the Smithton Childcare Services meeting. This is a piece of work where I've been working with external providers outside of our area to highlight our ongoing need for additional childcare facilities within the area as well. This was a meeting with one such provider who has demonstrated some interest in looking at partnering with council in some way. A little later on the 29th also, it was a busy day, the Stanley Penguin Management Plan is I suppose in a roundabout way, and quite an unfortunate thing that we've found ourselves in. As we'll all be aware, Stanley is somewhat of a mecca for tourists who like to experience the penguins on our shores, but in certain parts of the area, it's actually become quite problematic, particularly from a welfare perspective. And so I've had a meeting fairly recently, which is an overarching meeting to the operational one that is led by Task Ports, with the regional manager for parks, and with a view to us resourcing a penguin management plan for the whole of Stanley to make sure we've got the right resources and infrastructure in place. There are various other meetings that I'm happy to answer questions around, but I think it's time that maybe focus on some of the achievements of the wider team, our Connected Communities team in particular. Many of you will have attended Day on the Dock. An amazing, fun-filled day for all. Certainly consider it was my first such event. It was an amazing day, and it was great to eat all of those donuts, helped along by the Deputy Mayor, I might add. The citizenship ceremony as well was something which was on Australia Day, was something, obviously being from outside of Australia, something I took a great deal from, and it was lovely being part of that. And then finally, I'd just like to highlight, obviously it's Feel Good February, and there's a number of events that are happening throughout February, and I'd encourage everybody to get involved and take a look at the calendar. Thank you.
Questions? Councillor Hine.
Meeting with Tim Diesel, I guess his name is.
Looks like it.
Yes, Councillor, I'm afraid I can't go into details of what that's about in open forum.
Right. All right, thank you. While I'm on the feet, what was the bird hide meeting about?
Yeah, I've got Councillor Pilkington to thank for this. But it was a lovely meeting actually. A member of our community had approached the councillor and asked for a meeting with me, and I gladly went out with her, and we visited the area where she's demonstrated an appetite to put up a bird hide. We spoke about the opportunity for grant funding. I think I may have got a little bit over enthusiastic with her and tried to encourage her to look a bit more ambitious and how it all connected with West Esplanade development, and because it's a beautiful area of the coast, as you well know, and hope that she went away invigorated by the enthusiasm I showed. I fear I may have taken it a step too far, but yes, I do genuinely hope that she comes back and re-engages, because I think her ideas had real merit, the idea of having ornithologists be able to go along there and have somewhere to actually view our amazing wildlife from that coastline, I think would be incredible. But whether it's one or whether it's four, I think it's something worthwhile looking at through by way of grant funding, and she knows exactly what is involved in that process now.
Any other questions, Councillor Foskey?
You're meeting with the Regional Manager of Parks and Wildlife. What was the agenda there and what was the outcomes?
It was very much around penguin management in Stanley, and but unfortunately, we have areas of the Stanley Peninsula in particular that are leased from the Crown, and so there hasn't been one agency that has taken a leadership role, and unfortunately over previous years there's been a lot of discussion around who should take ownership, if anyone, and so I decided to grip it up because council was being put into a negative spotlight, I felt, and it was a little unjust to do so. So that meeting with the regional manager allowed us to really work in partnership with one another and put some positive messaging out there, which we've since been doing through the likes of Circulated Tourism Association and and the wider network. So there's certainly been a lot of surety being given to the community now that we are proactively working on it.
Is there any discussion on the use of Pigs Beach Park? I suppose that's what it's called. I noticed there today one caravan in there at the moment when that used to be chock-a-block full to Easter. What's happened?
I'm not aware of anything that has happened, Councillor. I mean, it may well be. You'll recollect that what we're in the process of doing at the moment is actually looking at what we need to do to understand whether or not Circular Head wants to be in the camping game as part of our wider asset retention discussions. And if this table should decide then that yes, we'll need a camping strategy regardless, whether it's freedom camping, whether it's paid camping sites, then you'll be able to identify the areas that you wish to invest in terms of infrastructure. And then it will highlight areas such as that to invest in. But I'm not aware of any issues pertaining to that particular location.
Well, it's just noticeable that one caravan in the
It was really busy.
something's happened. There's no signage to pinpoint that is a camping area.
Right.
There's no road signage.
No road.
And this is the balance with freedom camping.
It's not a workshop now, and we can...
It's a parks run.
Yeah, absolutely, that's right.
Yep.
Yes, Councillor Collins?
Yeah, just curious to find out about your meeting with the Burnie harness racing on the February the 9th.
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Mr. Mayor. This was a discussion that they requested. They were seeking support of council to brand the Circular Head Cup, which I believe is happening this weekend. Is that right?
March.
1st of March. Forgive me.
Sunday, the 1st of March.
Yes, we of course couldn't give any kind of decision. Normally it's not in council's space to be putting council representation when we have or can have a compliance function within the community against issues such as that or events such as that. Yes, on this occasion we politely declined, but thank them for thinking about us.
No further questions?
Yep.
Oh, Councillor Hine.
Yeah, just on you had a meeting, and can you just repeat that? We're pulled out of supporting that Circulated Cup as a...
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor, it's not that we actually gave support in the first place. It was just that we went away from the meeting with a view to getting a consensus around whether it's something we should be doing, and form the opinion due to the regulatory function of council and largely in some cases within the animal welfare and animal management space, that it isn't something we should be seen as actually doing. It was nothing about the sport, it was just more about the function behind the sport.
Thank you. You had a meeting with on opposite way now, with a Nation Street and an Ivor Gibson.
Yes. You'll have to forgive me, councillor. The meeting that you relate to has got confidential issues pertaining to it. I can't disclose that, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
No further? If I could have a move and a second that the senior manager's report be noted, please. Thanks, councillor Collins. Second, councillor Pilkington. Put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. 9.6.1 minutes. We've got Stanley Town Hall Committee meeting minutes there. Is there any comments or questions?
Yeah, it's too late now. It's going to have to wait for next time.
If not, can I have a move and a second that they be noted? Thanks, councillor Poposky. Second, councillor Debner. No debate. Put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. So I now need a motion that we resolve by absolute majority to consider the matters listed in, is it 10.0? Can I have a move and a seconder? Thanks, councillor Olding. Second, councillor Debner. Put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. And I now need a move and a second. Thanks, councillor Oldacre. Second, councillor Debner. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Going back into plan.
One over there.